You know, I read there's a restaurant out there, I believe it's in the Los Angeles area, that is showing a surcharge on their menus of 3% or so for Obamacare. I want to encourage every business in this country to do exactly the same thing. And if there is some fatwa put out by the Department of HHS under Secretary Supercilious telling you that you can't, we'll take one of you businesses out there, and Landmark Legal will represent you. So it is important for people to know that these cost increases, and for many of you it'll be more than 3%, are a direct result of Obamacare and so forth. So the price of a hot dog or filet mignon or soda or what have you, or a dress, or you don't wear a dress, do you, Mr. Producer? No, but you know what I mean. Whomever, whatever you're selling out there, automobile and so forth, you should put it on there and people should know. And I wish we would do more of this with all the other costs of government, so people know there's a direct cost involved. But if there's some kind of a directive put out that you will not be able to exercise your First Amendment right to do that, well, I'll take that case, among the many other cases we're using. Let me go to Joe, Fairfield, Connecticut, listening on the great WABC, a college chemistry professor. Professor, how are you, sir?
Thank you, Mark. Good evening.
Good evening.
Couple questions. First of all, or statements. 25% of American people still believe that the sun actually revolves around the earth.
Yes, Professor, 25% believe the sun revolves around the earth. I believe those are the global warming types.
Exactly. And then I heard the president last week talk about the major contributor to climate change was carbon emissions. Now, I think it's the sun. You know, the sun is a huge ball of fire out there with nuclear power in it, fission, and it heats up the whole solar system. Without the sun, there's no changes. Here in Connecticut, 20,000 years ago, we were under a sheet of ice almost half a mile thick, and it's been warming ever since. The nonsense that carbon dioxide, and another thing, in Connecticut, we have more trees now growing. It's more forested than at the time of the Revolutionary War, and that's a fact.
Well, then you must be a climate denier, sir.
As carbon dioxide is produced in the air, in the atmosphere, it's sequestered. It's absorbed by plants, and there's more plant life. In greenhouses, they pump in carbon dioxide to produce faster-growing plants.
It's so absurd. This whole damn thing is so nuts.
It's ridiculous. And I don't hear many scientists sort of refuting this falsehood. I mean, these people are producing fictional themes and statements and going out as scientists. Kerry said, flat Earth. He's the flat Earth believer. I mean, where is their background in science? How much science do they have? They're science illiterates, these so-called just lawyers.
Well, you're quite right, Professor. Thank you for your call, my friend. No, you're exactly right. As a matter of fact, you're a chemistry professor. He's gone out, and his belief is shared by Dr. Nerv Sharif. Who's Dr. Nerv Sharif? Is he a climate denier? Have you ever heard of Dr. Nerv Sharif? Well, Dr. Nerv Sharif is one of the top astrophysicists in the world. He's a professor at the Hebrew University. And he used to believe in this stuff. But now he doesn't. He wrote, like many others, I was personally sure that CO2 is the bad culprit in the story of global warming. But after carefully digging into the evidence, no doubt like Obama and Biden have done, I realized that things are far more complicated than the story told to us by many climate scientists or the stories regurgitated by the media. This is one of the top astrophysicists in the world. Gee, a climate denier. Folks, none of us are climate deniers. We believe in climate. We're denying what the left is trying to force feed us. Sharif notes that solar activity That would be the sun. Solar activity can explain a large part of the 20th century global warming, and greenhouse gases are largely irrelevant to the climate. If the amount of CO2 doubled by 2100, he said, it will not dramatically increase the global temperature. He added, even if we halved the carbon dioxide output, and the carbon dioxide increase by 2100 would be, say, a 50% increase relative to today instead of a doubled amount. The expected reduction in the rise of global temperature would be less than 0.5 Celsius. This is not significant. Gee, a climate denier. One of the great geologists, Dudley Hughes, puts it another way. Earth's atmosphere is made up of several major gases. You've heard me explain this before from Dudley Hughes. For simplicity, let us picture a football stadium with about 10,000 people in the stands. Assume each person represents a small volume of one type of gas. Carbon dioxide represents only about 4 parts in 10,000. That is 4 of those people out of 10,000. The smallest volume of any major atmospheric gas. How can that be? How can that possibly be? We've been told otherwise. Let's see here. Philip Chapman, a geophysicist, one of the top geophysicists, astronautical engineer, first Australian to become a NASA astronaut, by the way. He says all 4 agencies that track the Earth's temperature, the Hadley Climate Research Unit in Britain, the NASA Goddard Institute for Space Studies in New York, the Christie Group at the University of Alabama, and Remote Sensing Systems, Inc. in California report that it cooled by about 0.7 Celsius in 2007. This is the fastest temperature change in the instrumental record, and it puts us back where we were in 1930. If the temperature does not soon recover, we will have to conclude that global warming is over. And the man was right. We're now in global cooling. So what does Obama do? What do all of these guys do? Well, they keep up the propaganda. It's a drumbeat. Boom, boom, boom. That's what dictators do. Just keep it up. Keep it up. You're a denier. You're a denier. You're a flat earther. You're a flat earth. This is irrefutable. The science is irrefutable. I can give you thousands of scientists, meteorologists, weathermen and women who say no. Who say no. But it doesn't seem to matter, does it? Because this is driven by the Reds. This is ideological. This is a radical left agenda. And that's who's driving it. So, and the Republicans have embraced this too over the years. The Republicans have embraced this over the years as well. There was a petition signed, and I'm trying to find it, and I can't find it. This is all in Liberty and Tyranny in the chapter entitled On Envirostatism. Boy, this book was ahead of its time. It's almost 5 years old. Coincidentally came out in March 5 years ago as the Tea Party movement was on the rise, but it took me about 16 months to write it. And that publication date was months and months and months in advance. But really, I'm so proud of it because I'm proud of all the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people at the various rallies carrying this book. This book has sold almost 1.4 million copies. I'm not hawking it. I'm not hawking any of the books. I'm just talking about what's in it. There's a lot of great information in these books that took a long time. You know, some people write books and so forth. What I provide here is scholarship. That's what it is. And I try and put it in language that is understandable and that can be used by you folks, the Paul and Paulette Reveres, to share with other people. That's what I try to do. I've got another one in the works. Now, it's not going to come out for a long time, but I've got another one I just started. But I'm not allowed to get into that at all. So the man is right about the sun. And the government's wrong, because the government has an agenda. Look at this in the Daily Caller today. Farmer's Almanac more accurate than government climate scientists. Well, of course. Because government climate scientists as a group, not every single one of them, but collectively, are sort of the mystics of old. They're the sorcerers of the Middle Ages. That's what they are. This exceptionally cold and snowy winter, writes Michael Batash, has shown that government climate scientists were dead wrong when it came to predicting just how cold this winter would be, while the 197-year-old Farmer's Almanac predicted this winter would be bitterly cold. Bloomberg Businessweek reports that the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Climate Prediction Center. We have a Climate Prediction Center? What do you got there? A bunch of people who read palms or something? Predicted temperatures would be above normal from November through January across much of the lower 48 states. They didn't predict it. They pushed propaganda. They wanted it. It was dead wrong. As Bloomberg notes, the CPC underestimated the mammoth December cold wave which brought snow to Dallas and chilled partiers in Times Square on New Year's Eve. CPC grades its prediction accuracy on a Heidke skill score, which ranges from 100 perfect to negative 50, no better than playing pin at the tail on the donkey. And what was its score for its prediction November through January? Minus 22. What was its score October through December? Minus 20. So shut the damn thing down. Save us some money. They're obviously wrong. But they won't, will they? Not one of our better forecasts, Mike Halpert, the Climate Prediction Center's acting director, said. Look how they just slough it off. This guy's a salary and a pension. We pay his medical benefits, his office. He has a... Get rid of this goofball and all the rest of them. What actually happened this winter? A polar vortex swept down and caused every state except Florida to experience snowfall and brought about 4,400 record low temperatures across the U.S. in January, along with over 1,000 record snowfalls. The most recent winter storm that slammed into the eastern U.S. last week knocked out power for over 1 million people in the southeast, caused 21 deaths, and on and on and on. So what's the moral of this story? The Farmer's Almanac. They'll get it right. Because the people who write it are not ideologues. Just goofballs, but not ideologues. I say with respect. So we have basically sorcerers now. From the old Middle Ages. At the Climate Prediction Center. Writing Obama's speeches. Running for office. And you know what, folks? It's not only absurd what they're saying, despite the evidence in front of your face, how cold it is. It's not just that they're wrong. It's that they know they're wrong. And they're advancing an ideology, camouflaging it in this BS. That's what they're doing. And they're able to seize private property. They're able to seize liberty. They're able to impose taxes. They're able to allow the EPA and the Interior Department, the Ag Department, and NOAA and every other department and agency to advance a radical leftist big government agenda under the heading of climate change. Greenhouse gases. Thank God for greenhouse gases, or we'd all be dead. All of us.